What's up, everybody? This is Lorenzo Gomez, the Urban Nerd, and today I'm doing a two-part video series. This is video one for two questions I was asked recently. So I was tagged in an Instagram story about a week or two ago by a really nice gentleman, and he had two very thoughtful questions that I went and gave a listen to, and so I think that thoughtful questions deserve thoughtful responses. And so take a look at the video. I'm going to come back after you view it, and then we'll break down in this video his first question, then we'll do another video with his second question. So give it a listen.
Those are my two big takeaways. Who can most easily afford it, and who is it going to benefit?
Okay, great questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to address his first question, which is who can most easily afford it? I think it's an awesome question. And so what I want to do is I want to start off by showing you a graphic that I found online. And this graphic is, I'm sure it was created by someone who's against the project, and it has sort of a list of some of the people that are on the Spurs ownership group and what their net wealth is and how much they, how much money they have. And the reason that I put this on there is that I think that the rationale, and this is not what this gentleman was saying, but I see this a lot on the comments and things I read, and it's this notion that, hey, these guys, Michael Dell is one of the owners and the guy from Airbnb, and their net wealth is a gigajillion, $1 billion. And so the rationale goes, hey, why don't these wealthy individuals just pay for the whole project themselves, right? And so I want to address that because I think it's a good on-ramp into this gentleman's question. So who can most easily afford it? And I want to answer it first, the first part, with an article that I wrote. So I'm going to show you an article I wrote for Voice of San Antonio several months ago, and it was about affordable housing. And the subtitle was called "The Math Isn't Mathing." And the reason I wrote this article, because it's very similar to this Spurs arena, and that's that when you look at affordable housing or building an apartment complex, it's similar, not the same, but similar to a deal like the Spurs Stadium, only the Spurs Stadium is way more complicated. But essentially, if you wanted to build an apartment complex or an office tower or the next Pearl or a new Spurs stadium, what would have to happen is you would have to raise a lot of money. And so essentially, investors have to look at their portfolio and go, hey, is this a deal worth investing my money in? And so no deal that happens, whether it's a new tower downtown, whether it's a new apartment complex near your house, none of those things were built because a rich person wrote a check for the full amount. That's just not how it works. You have one individual or several individuals that go out and raise capital for the entire project. And so what will happen is they're going to go get investors. If they can't get investors, they'll have to borrow it from a bank, or maybe there's a combination, right? We have some investors and we have to borrow the rest from the bank. And so this is normally how most deals all over the world are being done right now for all of the things that you and I enjoy, including Lock and Terra or the Rim. It's the same thing. And so the reason I say that is for a deal as complicated as the Spurs arena, there's no way that any one person is going to step up and write a check for the entire amount. That's just not the way that the business world works. And furthermore, and I wrote about this in my article, when you're dealing with really high net wealth investors, what they're going to look at is, hey, is there a better investment for my money? Should I invest in this Spurs deal, or should I just leave it in the stock market and get more money that way? And so you're managing risk. And I would say that one of the things that concerns me about this deal is when you read articles about how the mayor wants to do revenue sharing, with this. So if I'm an investor, I go, hey, why would I invest millions of dollars in this deal when I'm gonna have to split the profits with the mayor, which is never, or the city, which has never been done? I'd rather leave it in stocks and bonds or in another entrepreneurial venture that I'm part of. And so you have to know that money is movable and money has options. And so this deal is very complicated, and so it's going to take a lot of different parties to go in and make it happen. And then the last thing I would say is that even if a really rich person had, $200 million or $2 billion in their checking account, which they don't, none of their advisors would ever tell them, you need to write a check for that. They're going to go do everything they can to stop them, because it's just not how money moves in this economy, or really, it's not how wealth is managed in general. And so it's a great question, but I think there's a different question that we need to be asking ourselves, which is, how do deals like this get done, and how do investors look at investing their money? And so great question. Hit me up if you have any more. I'm going to be answering part 2 of his question in another video, so stay tuned and go vote November 4th, yes, for Props A and B.